Alright guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today we're going to talk about warranty. And a lot of people have asked me from my old videos, am I a mechanic, am I a tuner, and things like that. I'm not any of those things, but I have actually worked as an automotive engineer in the OEM as well as the supplier space. And a big part of my role for several years was working as a warranty engineer. Now, I see a lot of people talking about warranty. Of course, it's something that a lot of us deal with as car owners, but I also see a lot of misinformation or misunderstandings about how the warranty process works, how OEMs and dealerships interact with a warranty claim, and who even cares about warranty claims. Does it bother OEMs or dealerships to have to deal with this stuff? So I just thought that I'd give my perspective as a warranty engineer to explain some of the details on how things work on the back end, and also, what our priorities are. So maybe it can help give you a better advantage if you have to take your car in for warranty work. So we'll go ahead and talk about it in this video. Also, keep in mind, if you guys would like, feel free to leave comments or questions down below, and I'll try to answer them in a part 2 in the future. But for now, we'll just go over some of the main topics and common questions that I get. So hopefully you guys find this video useful.
Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future.
So first of all, we're going to talk about what my job is. I have worked for an OEM. I won't specify which one, but I will say after working with multiple companies, I've noticed that pretty much it's managed the same across the industry. If you talk to any automotive engineer, they'll basically tell you the same thing. Generally Toyota establishes a standard process for, manufacturing, quality, things like that. And then the whole rest of the industry tries to copy that strategy. So this is no different. The way that my job was, I was basically the corporate engineer for warranty claims. So I wasn't a field engineer. I didn't go to dealerships or anything like that. But I was the person that kind of created projects to solve those problems. Now, the main, idea behind my role was to address customer concerns. And this is probably one of the first or largest things that I hear people getting wrong, because people say, dealerships don't care about warranty, or OEMs don't care about warranty, or they don't care about your car after warranty, when in fact, that's probably one of their biggest concerns. If they care about sales, if they care about pushing cars out the door, they know that retaining customers is much easier than finding new customers. And if a customer doesn't have a good experience, they're much less likely to become a returning customer. So that's where my job came into play. It was my responsibility to understand those customer concerns and address them and improve the vehicle so that we would get more car sales out the door and get more people jumping into new vehicles. So what I did when I got in the door is I would look at two different things. We would get warranty claims as well as surveys. Surveys were a big part of my job because, again, we're looking at all customer concerns, but everything doesn't come into the dealership as a warranty claim, especially things like squeaks, ergonomic issues. There were just a lot of customer complaints that either they would assume aren't covered under warranty or like there's nothing to fix. So we would read those surveys to try to understand problems and address those in future vehicle changes as well. But today we're mainly going to talk about warranty. So of course that was a really big problem. And every night we would get warranty claims pushed to our system so that we could review them in the morning. Now, once we got those warranty claims, the first thing we would do is try to categorize everything. So depending on what actually failed, it would be identified as an engine issue, transmission issue, interior trim, exterior trim, body, NVH, all of these categories had big lists of warranty claims. And then once we got those lists together, we would try to prioritize the claims so that we could address them, in the order of how big of an issue it is. So we would look at two different things. One, of course, is the frequency. So our threshold at the time was 3 warranty claims in 3 months. And this is globally, so not that hard to achieve for some of the more common issues. But if we saw more than 3 claims in 3 months, that would push it up higher in the list. The other thing, of course, is the cost. So even if it only had 1 or 2 claims, but it was a very expensive repair, maybe it's an expensive part to replace, or maybe it's, a really labor intensive job. So it's a $20 part, but it takes 8 to 10 hours to replace it. then that would push it up higher in the list as well. And once we got that priority list, then that would kind of dictate how we work through our projects. Now, in our warranty claim investigation, we would create projects around these claims, and we kind of put 3 different things in mind as far as how to resolve the problems. Some of them, of course, are design changes, so the part was just not designed properly, and we need to redesign it in order to make it more robust. The next part, of course, would be a manufacturing issue. So if we're on the assembly line and they're assembling it wrong, then that's a problem that we need to address. And then the third one, of course, is a supplier, since really at the OEM level, all we do is assemble the vehicle. All of the parts are actually made at suppliers, and it's up to them and their quality control to make sure that we're only getting good parts. But if things slip through the cracks, then we'll work with a supplier to improve their quality control and make sure that we don't get bad parts. Also, it's pretty common for us to request parts back. So if a dealer says, hey, the wheel bearing on this car went out, we might request that back because it's not something that typically fails, especially during a warranty period. And we want to be able to dig into the part and understand what caused the failure. And that can help us kind of choose which of those 3 avenues to go down. Now, over time, things would, of course, improve. The vehicle becomes more reliable. We get a lot of our fixes in place, and some of these timelines would extend. So maybe instead of 3 issues in 3 months, we might look at 3 issues in 6 months. Or maybe the threshold, for cost of a claim will come down as well. So over time, that does change. But especially for the first 2 years, we pretty much know that we're going to be getting a lot of warranty claims. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. When you're trying to push a vehicle out the door as fast as possible, you always miss something. It's hundreds of thousands of components working together to make the vehicle go out the door in the first place. And so generally there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 things with the first couple years of cars. Now let's get into the meat of this. So how does the actual warranty claim process work? And when you bring your car into a dealership, of course, they're going to take a look at your car, listen to your complaint, try to understand what's wrong. And when you get a warranty claim covered, they basically repair the car, give it back to you, and you go out the door. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, well, dealerships don't really want to cover stuff under warranty because they don't make any money. And that's actually not the case. The only difference is instead of billing you for the repair, they bill the OEM for the repair. So every time I read a warranty claim, like I said, it includes the actual cost, and that is paid to the dealership from the OEM to cover them for their labor and for the parts that they replaced. So it's really not an issue for them to cover your warranty. They're not losing money on that. The only downside is potentially the warranty might not be covered if it's something that, is caused by an external influence. So for example, like I said, with the wheel bearing, if they say we replaced the wheel bearing on this Honda Civic, we took off their 22-inch spinners, replaced the wheel bearing, and now it's not making noise anymore. Well, as an engineer, I know that your car came with some, 16x7 wheels. So if you're running these huge, heavy wheels, that can cause the wheel bearing to fail. So you're probably not going to get that covered. But if a dealership already executed the work, the OEM is going to read their notes and not pay it out because we know that that wasn't something that was caused by the design of the vehicle. That's something that really they shouldn't have covered in the first place. Unfortunately, that can make dealerships a lot more conservative with executing warranty repairs because now the next time somebody comes in for a wheel bearing issue, they might just say, oh, Toyota, BMW, whoever doesn't cover wheel bearing issues. That's, something that needs to be covered by the customer. When in reality, they just don't really understand why the warranty was denied. And so I see this creating conflict all the time. People say, oh, I brought my car to one dealership, they wouldn't cover it. I brought it to another dealership and they did, and things like that. And it's just because every dealership has a different experience when working through warranty repairs, and they kind of have to navigate through that to understand what will be covered and what won't be, but they're making that decision before they actually get paid. Now, another thing to consider is if your car isn't being covered under warranty for something that you think should be, you can always get feedback from BMW directly to have them make a decision in advance. I know it shouldn't be that way, and it can be a much more, extended and stressful process trying to get BMW or whatever OEM to engage. But that is a way to make sure that the dealership will get an answer up front and cover it under warranty because they really don't get the final say. It's up to the OEM, since the OEM is the one that would be paying for it, to make that decision. Also, a lot of people ask me, how are some dealers mod friendly or easier to get warranty claims through? And so again, if you get your wheel bearing replaced and they don't mention that, you had 22-inch dubs on your Civic, We don't know that. So when I get that claim, I'm just going to see that the wheel bearing was bad. It was making a ticking noise or whatever, so it was replaced. I might ask for the part back to try to see what's going on, because that's not something that we typically see a failure with early. But in reality, the dealership just did not share all the information, and we're kind of at their mercy. You know, they put in comments to explain what the issue was and what they did to fix it. But if they don't cover all of the bases and we don't see the full picture, then it's impossible for us to know. So that is something that's a little bit frustrating, I can say, from an engineer's perspective, when you feel like you don't have the full story. But on the other hand, I also think it's really important for you to bring your car in if you think it should be covered under warranty. I see a lot of things, especially with enthusiasts, that, you know, they don't want to bring their car into the dealership for various reasons. They want to just fix it themselves, or maybe they make excuses for problems because, oh, it's a sports car, or, you know, I modified it and things like that. But if you see something that's like a design flaw, or you feel like it's failing prematurely, if you bring that into the dealership, that's the only way that the engineering team and the OEM will understand what the failure is. If you don't bring it in, they're going to think that it's not as frequent as it is, or they might not even know about it at all. And that makes it impossible for them to address the issue. So that is something that I recommend, you know, even if it's just topping off your oil that's leaking or topping off your coolant that's evaporating, bringing that in so that they can constantly document these issues helps make sure that the OEM knows where the bigger problems are. But yeah, I think that covers a lot of the main questions. You know, again, there is somebody reading every single warranty claim. I was one of them. It's a big team of engineers that work at the plant as well as at the corporate level to try to fix manufacturing issues and design issues and make the vehicle better every year, and also help prepare for the next generation of vehicles that will be coming out in the future. But this is something that's really important to every OEM. It's not something that we should downplay, because we know that making sure you have a good customer experience, which hopefully includes no warranty claims, is what ensures that you'll be a long-time customer of the brand, which is what really makes the company the most money. I know a lot of people assume, oh, they make extra money selling parts and things like that, but it actually hurts them on the back end. So hopefully this answers a couple of your more common questions. If you have any other thoughts, comments, suggestions, questions, feel free to leave them down below. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.